Hello everyone, welcome back. So as you can see, BA1's off the hoist, the wheels are back on and she's back on the ground. Now the reason we've done that is we want to start to cycle through some of the electrics on the car before we start to pull the car apart, just to try and understand what's going to need work as the car goes back together. Now you'll see in this upcoming video, I've just recorded it as I've gone along, so it's not as edited and polished, I suppose, as the other videos, but it's literally, you know, looking over my shoulder as I've gone through everything. I'm not an expert on these cars, as you'll see, and I'm learning as I'm going along and effectively sharing the journey with you. So I hope you enjoy, and this is a bit more of the story of the restoration of BA01. So we're continuing to build a job list for BA1 so we can get a full idea what's ahead. So we've covered off in previous videos the engine, what we need to do there. We've covered off the fuel cell, which is a bit of a disaster. So really, the car from a mechanical point of view needs to have everything pulled out and start again. We need to find a H-pattern gearbox, the list goes on. One thing we haven't done is try and power up the electrics of the car. Now, it's been sitting for over a decade. The battery that's in the car is completely shot. And before we tear the car to bits, we really need to get an idea of what works electrically and what doesn't, because sitting around most likely hasn't done any favours like it's done to the rest of the car. So if you have a look here, they've all got an Anderson plug on the back of the car. And when I say all of them, the Supercheap Auto Falcon has got one inside on the passenger floor. The Stone Brothers ran theirs on the rear trailing arm boxes at the back of the car. So what I've done is build up a little umbilical cord effectively, and we'll power up the car now and see what happens. So I haven't had it hooked up yet, so this will either be a complete disaster or we'll find out something new. So if I put that into there, try and do it while I'm looking at the camera. So that's hooked up. So by rights, the car should have power going through it for the first time in 10 years. So we'll go around to the driver's side and have a bit of a look. One thing I forgot to say, another thing I've done, just so when we do power everything up, in case I get the sequence wrong on the switches, I've disconnected the fuel pumps. We don't want to go pumping, if they do fire into life, we don't want to go pumping dirty fuel and everything through the car if we can avoid it. So they've been disconnected. So we'll work our way around to the front and have a bit of a look. Alright, so there's no barbecues, which is good. Now you'll have to excuse the poor camera work. I'll try and do this live while we're going to give you a look. So we'll turn our master switch on, the main ignition's off, so it won't, the thing's not even going to think about starting or anything silly. If I turn that on, okay, so the Motec has turned on, and we've got what sounds like an indicator. Why have we got an indicator? No, that's indicator. So there's a flasher can going somewhere here. This is where I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, and I'll highlight it. So, there we go. I would say, judging by that our pit lane speed limiter at a guess is on, wherever that is. There. Okay, let's solve that. Very good. So everything's turned on. The Motec system should have some pages. So that's a race page at the moment. That's a practice page. And that's a warm-up page. So that's got oil temperature, engine temperature, 12 degrees. So that would be about right. It's pretty cold, pretty late at night here at the minute. And then you've got a scroll button on the steering wheel. And if you push that, that goes through the different pages. So I'm going to have to study what all this is, obviously. Beacon will be, I would imagine, the timer. Radiator, water pressure maybe. Diff and gearbox temp. Given it's got no gearbox in the car and it's saying minus 51 degrees, that would be right because the sensor's disconnected. And steering. So, well, there you go, that still works. So steering angle, if we go back to roughly square there, and then work our way back, that's still reading. So I'll show you, I won't be able to get the camera up under there now, but you'll see here it's got a little motor or a Motex sensor that's got a little belt that runs off the steering column, and that's what gives us that reading there, which is pretty cool. So it appears that a lot of that is still working, which is really exciting, because that can run into some serious dollars if it doesn't. What else have we got here? Scroll and page. Pit limiter we know works. Wiper I won't touch. Drink, no point in touching that. Flash. We have, looks like they are working, which is really good. And turn our light switch on. We'll go out and have a bit of a look externally and see what we've got. Yeah, so we've got some headlights there. That does look tough. These V8s are a really beautiful looking car. So we've got headlights, tail lights, 1, 2, yep, beautiful. So it looks like a majority of it is still working, which is really good. Some of the wiring is a bit sad, but it looks like that we haven't got too many major dramas. So if we go back to our page button again, which will go through our pages, so that's the race page, and then if we scroll through that, so we've got brake bias adjustment, engine temperature, so that looks like it's reading. No idea what that is, we'll have to have a look. I'm presuming lap time prediction, and that's brake bias again. And if we scroll to the next page, which is a practice page, I would imagine that'd be fairly loss and gain, engine temp, so that's much the same, ground speed. So it looks like it's all there, which is really exciting. So I'm genuinely happy to see all this. So, and you can see on the Motex side of it, if I open up the passenger side, driver's side door, that's the beacon for the lap timer. So it's all there. It's just, you know, it's just sad. It's been battered and bashed for a long time. So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm glad to see that that is doing what it's doing. So obviously we won't go any further than that. We don't want to start firing up pumps and turning engines and stuff over. That's all got to be done by hand first to make sure everything's okay. I won't go jumping on the brakes or anything silly to get an idea of pressure sensors and stuff like that. We'll just assume for now that they're all there and they're working. And yeah, it's good to see for the first time in a decade that VA1s slowly come back to life. So we've had a few questions roll in over the last week or so, and one of them I'll cover off now, which is, I guess, a two-parter. So you'll see here on the floor of BA1, you've got your Motex system, which is all mounted up. And you'll see next to it, which we've been trying to work out what the story is, which we now have an answer, thanks to one of our followers. You can see there's a couple of screws which go into the floor. And then up here, up under the dashboard, there's a rub mark on one of the bars that go across under the dashboard. And we've been trying to work out why that damage would be there, because it's really up out of the way. Now, we got contacted, as I said, by one of our followers, wanting to know whether this here was of any interest. As you can see, it hasn't seen the light of day for a very long time, but what it is, which it's amazing that we've managed to get this, it's the floor for the BA1 for when the car was used as a ride car. So that rub mark that we're talking about is where this false floor sits around the bar, which goes up under the dashboard, and that is a floor for the passenger to put their feet on. The Motex system on those boxes sit up under here out of the way, and those two screws that are in the floor doing nothing, that's where that mounts to. So several years later, it's all been reunited back as a system, and that's the original floor that came out of BA1 on the passenger side of the car. Now, this is where the question comes into it. I've had quite a few people ask, is this the car that is in the ad, the Caltex ad with Russell Ingall with the flies? Now, I'll show you a bit of footage here of the ad, you'll probably remember it. Now the answer to that is no. That car was used, well, that's Russell's championship winner. So that was the car he ran from 2005 onwards. This car was 03 and 04. But this car was in the earlier advert with the passenger in the car asking if it was a V8. Basically, the theory of the ad was, once you've had Caltex performance, nothing will surprise you. So they actually decked this car out with all the ride kit, that floor included, put some cameras in it and shot the ad. So when you look at it, there's a few hints that give it away, but you can have a look at all the bar work inside the car. You look at the way the dashboard is recessed in, and all the layout and everything. It's certainly the real deal. It's not a show car or anything like that. So really cool. Again, it's another little bit of history that BA1's been involved in, and yeah, it's cool to see it all slowly going back together. Now, a little update on FTR3. Now, if you've been following our Facebook page, you would have seen this. During the week, we got sent some photos of FTR3 taken in 2001. Now, we've covered off in previous videos the mystery bar work that's up under the dashboard that was introduced to FTR3, we believe, at some stage in late 2001 to try and stiffen up the front end. And that included this vertical bar here on the side intrusion. Now, you can see on these original drawings that vertical bar wasn't there, and as I said, it's believed that that was introduced with the extra bars under the dash in late 01. The curveball is this photo was taken with Glenn in the car at a pre-season test in 2001. So the car had only done one race at this point, and it was obviously the Bathurst 1000 in 2000. The car must have then been stripped, had some work done, and then obviously ready to go for the 2001 season. So that vertical bar was introduced really early in the car's life. So that changes our way of thinking a little bit. Obviously it's going to stay, same as the bars under the dash. It's all part of the car's history, but it's just trying to get an idea when all this stuff happened is proving to be a little bit more difficult than we'd hoped. One positive out of that photo is you can see this seat mount, which sits up in there. If you have a look, that's identical to what Glenn's running back in 2000. So it looks like that these mounts have survived the test of time. They have had a bit of a modification done to get the seat down a bit lower at the front at some point, but they do look to be what the car had back in 2001. So again, just by having followers of this journey that are sending us information, it enables us to try and get to a level of accuracy that would be near on impossible without your input. So we've had quite a few questions roll in the last couple of weeks. I put a Facebook post up and just asking if anybody had any questions in regard to the cars. We've actually had a lot more than we anticipated, so I've had a lot come in via private message, YouTube and others. So we're going to put together a separate video which answers a lot of these, and they're just questions like, you know, what parts are removed from the cars when they finish up in their main game life, how we found them, who's going to drive them once they're back on track, and what the plans are in that regard. So we'll put together a separate video just covering off all that side of things. There's also been questions about whether, you know, if drivers past and present interacted with, you know, these cars going back together. So there's a lot to cover. Just as an example, if you've been following this journey from the beginning, you'll know Steve Ellery pops up from time to time, and his kids pop up from time to time in the comment section. And you'll see here on the passenger side door card, there's a tribute which was provided by the Ellery family to the late Bruce Ellery, Steve's dad, which now sits proudly on the inside door card. So that'll obviously stay with the car. So yeah, there is a lot of history there. So we'll cover off a lot of that, and obviously cover off who'll be driving cars and bits and pieces, because unfortunately I won't be. So we'll cover all that off in an upcoming video, and we'll look forward to sharing that with you when it's ready. So thanks again for your support. Look forward to having more for you soon. Thanks again.
Hold on, mate.
Get used to performance with Caltex Hibernation engine oil.
The accelerator's on the right, mate.
And you could win a hot lap in a V8 Supercar with Russell Ingall.
This is a V8, isn't it?
Look for specially marked packs and lift the lid on performance.
You sure the handbrake's not on?